Alright, recording started. My mic audio is playing, that's good. Desktop audio, I think, is also going. Yes. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be giving sort of a baseline outline on how Tracer takes duels against all the other DPS in the game. The reason I'm picking Tracer is because she, on kind of a theoretical and technical level, has some of the best 1v1 duel taking abilities in the entire game. And so there's a lot of there's a lot of minute information on how to play this character that will give you a leg up against basically every character in the game, especially all the other DPS. So Doom is going to help me here pick the characters kind of one by one. Go ahead and start. Just do it alphabetical, so you can start with Ashe, like left or right, basically. So before we get into Ashe, let's think about some fundamentals about where an Ashe is gonna play. So, for example, go ahead and I don't know, take one of these high grounds or something with Coach real quick. So, it's important to have a goal in mind in terms of when you are in advantage and when you're in disadvantage when it comes to duels. Right now, as it currently stands in this situation with me against Doom in this as the Ashe here, I'm at heavy disadvantage, right? Because he's on high ground, I am on low ground. My mobility is mostly just, horizontal, not vertical. And just do a headshot on me real quick. That is an insane threat for me to have to deal with, is a headshot. So I don't want to be inside of the LOS. So my goal is, if I want to kill this Ashe, right, my goal is to use cover and blinks to reduce the time that I spend in her LOS, like this. And by the way, as we continue down the characters, you're going to notice a lot of these fundamentals showing up again and again. So Ashe is fundamentally very pokey, right? So you just have to be careful about that sort of thing. So what I want to do is I want to blink under. See this? I'm blocking the LOS of the Ashe just sitting on high ground, and then I'm trying to access the flank to get to this high ground. Now, in general, when you're flanking, if the enemy team knows where you are, so for example, try to peek one of these doors on the sides. As I come up the stairs, I have to be careful that she might readjust her angle as I'm walking up. So this is a threat area for me. So I can kind of jump a little bit or try to listen to see if she's looking at me. And if I notice the Ashe is here, right, then I want to blink out of the LOS again, right? And then if she tries to push again, I've got this really weird cover that I can use, and then now I'm on top of her. Literally. Hello. So that's the sort of situation you want to be on, because as the Ashe, you in order to shoot the Tracer, here it was a lot easier because you had all this high ground, right? Here it's still somewhat easy, and you can even take this angle to kind of potentially get the drop shot, basically, right? Maybe as the Ashe you peek like this. So there's a lot of dynamics, but in general the Tracer wants to get on top of the Ashe without getting shot at. And you're using your blinks to go from cover to cover. And there's one more thing that the Ashe has in her tool belt that is really annoying. Throw a dynamite at me real quick. And just shoot it. So because my whole goal is to stay out of LOS, but if she's quick about it, she just gets very, what's the word, cheeky with it. She might try and throw a dynamite around a corner knowing that I'm on my way and try to hit it on me. Now, the thing about Ashe is that the dynamite makes a sound when she throws it. It goes, right? We can throw it again when you get it, and we'll take a little listen to it. So when you hear that, right, there's that whole entire audio that plays. So as the Tracer, what you would want to do in that situation is the moment you hear the sound, you can assume that she might be trying to go and shoot the dynamite itself, which means her aim is going to be locked in kind of a very straight shot place, right? Throw it one more time. So that once that dynamite is thrown, that is the perfect moment for me as Tracer to hit the blink and to try and go for some damage on her. So those are some of the basic fundamentals of Tracer into Ashe. A lot of those fundamentals are gonna carry over later, but we can go ahead and go to the next one now. And that's not including like ults and stuff, but it's just those are some basic neutrals that you'll have to think about. So now we're on Bastion. So Bastion has some of that armor, right? And he's got the big turret, which does a lot of damage to your tank. So in general, Bastions will be playing with the team, especially in order to relieve pressure that the tank might be taking, and especially to be burning down the enemy tank. Is like oftentimes the big part of what Bastion's kit likes to do. So as Tracer, it's hard necessarily to take like a full 1v1 because of his high health pool, especially if he has healing, right? But you do have the option to kind of harass him a little bit. So like whenever say you're like go into turret form and start shooting like that car, and we'll imagine that we're shooting a tank right now. If I as Tracer get in, the Bastion really does not want to have to deal with me in his face while he's in turret form, right? Because when the turret form happens, I can kind of use my mobility and blinks to kind of get a bunch of damage on him, and especially if I'm right behind him. If you notice, going back into turret, there is a crit hitbox right on the back. So, like try to turn around and look and like shoot me, and then it's like now I'm back again behind you, right? So maintaining your blinks when you're playing against a Bastion to sort of harass him in that moment will relieve a lot of pressure on your team. Now, obviously, you can't just do that if the enemy team is gonna like kill you. So it's just one of those things you have to be wary of. But also, like as the Bastion, if I'm just going about my day trying to shoot the enemy team, right? As Tracer, this is gonna be another thing that is really prominent. As Tracer, I don't have to fully commit to like shooting the enemy team. I can like take weird peeks, and then I can like blink to this corner. It's like if he's looking at me, right, I'm just gonna keep playing the corner, and then the moment you look away, right, just look away, I'm gonna like start blinking again, and then the moment you look at me, I'm gonna blink back, right? Because I do have to respect your grenade, if you want to throw that out real quick. Because it bobbles me, it does half my HP, and if it lands on top of me, it probably forces recall. So you do have to be careful as the Tracer to not just like mindlessly get stuck by that. But you have a lot of options as Tracer to harass the Bastion whenever he's doing literally anything else. Especially because his hitbox is so big, right? If you get on top of him, you're going to be hitting all your bullets on top of him. So the Bastion hurts a lot in that situation. Like it hurts for him to have to deal with like a Tracer who's properly fighting his attention. We can go ahead and switch. Also, at any point, by the way, Doom, if you have any questions about the matchups or any specific parts, feel free to chime in.
Got it.
Okay, so Cassidy is probably one of the tougher matchups for Tracer overall, because Tracer likes to play that close to mid-range, right? Where like the maximum range that she can even be poking people is like here, right? But Cassidy has basically the same range as her, except the Cass has the ability to like swat the fly in midair, so to speak, and it's not even just his grenade, which is what you'd expect, right? Because you hit the grenade, she can't recall. Obviously, that's good if you can, but a good Tracer is going to like kind of outplay and maneuver that grenade a little bit. Even, and we'll talk about that more in a second, but even just the left click, like just hit one body shot on me. That's already like a huge threat for me, and anyone else who like chips me is going to like really make me question what I'm doing, right? And because you can just keep firing those out, right? Like, bam. Yeah. So that's just something to think about as well. And then when it comes to the nade, honestly, it's really hard for me to describe how the nade works. There's just a lot of quirks that I promise you can overcome if you kind of understand it a little bit. So like, throw the nade at me real quick. You see that? I blink once and then I kind of go through it for a second, but it also comes back for me, right? So you can blink past the nade, but you might have to blink twice, right? So see if that just hit you. That's actually hilarious. So once the nade is thrown, don't be afraid to like blink past and kind of commit for it if you think you can like get a kill or something. But also like something you can kind of do too is like throw it again. If you get out of the range of the nade before it hits the magnetic lock-on effect, it will not chase you. It's only when you get close enough when it starts to chase you, right? So there's a sort of like sweet spot timing and maneuvering you can do. You really don't want it to be chasing you though, for sure, if you can help it. Just throw it again if you can. Yeah, you see that time I dodged it with like better timing, just completely. So it's very picky timing on that. Absolute worst case, if you bait out the nade, you can just blink away, get your blinks back. Oh god, it will go over corners, so you have to be careful. But learning how to play around nade is very important as Tracer for sure. But just know that if you pay attention, you will be able to kind of dodge it. And then absolute worst case, it's coming at you. You know it's gonna happen. You use all your blinks, throw it. You recall the moment it's going to come out, and at the very least, you don't die. At the very least. So those are some higher skill checks for the Tracer to kind of deal with the cast, right? But it is possible. Just something to keep in mind. But that's why I say the left click on cast is a lot more dangerous than the nade itself. Because once I get headshot, my entire engagement's over. Awful, right? And even once more, just hit a headshot melee on me. That's a one shot. So you do have to be careful about that as the Tracer when you blink up to the cast. Right? Now it's going to be a second. But I'll be back.
Don't forget about pulse bomb and roll. Yes,
that is actually a key part of the matchup. The other ones were kind of like more general Tracer tips, but yes, this matchup is very specific. So the way Pulse Bomb works, obviously, you stick it to the enemy target, and it kills most squishies in the game, right? Once it's stuck. However, Cass does have the damage mitigation on his roll, so you can go ahead and hit this for me. There you go. So it barely does. It doesn't even do half his HP when he rolls. You see that? So it's not, you can go for stickies on Cass's, right? Because his hitbox is pretty big, all things considered. But you have to be kind of tracking that cooldown, making sure you know whether or not he has it, and then. But like also there's the option as well where like I don't have my ult anymore, but you can maybe get a clip on him, right? If he's this HP, you throw the nade, he'll probably still die anyway, especially if you like try to follow up on that damage still. So it is possible to kill him with sticky even with the roll, but it's oftentimes better just to try to pick a different target. Yeah, anything else?
No, that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Good catch. Echo. Okay. Echo's got a funny one. Because I would say you'd be so like Echo's a flyer, obviously, right? So kind of just start flying in the air and kind of just hover up. You'd kind of think like, oh man, this kind of sucks for Tracer, right? And you'd be right, it does kind of suck for Tracer, but like the moment that the Echo is down from her flight, especially if she doesn't land in a safe spot, Tracer is really good at like cleaning up on an Echo who just has bad movement, right? So like getting stuck without that, like I could even like almost triple blink just to go for like a finish on you if you don't have fly, right? But that being said, if the Echo is smart and she's playing very pokey and playing in the skybox a lot more, then it's a lot harder for the Tracer to do anything. So like that matchup ends up being opportunist for Tracer as opposed to like actively playmaking, right? Now, in general, like it's good even if you're as Tracer, like even if you don't kill Echo, especially if she's away from her heals, right? This is a general flanker tip, like flanker versus flanker, because Echo can flank. You don't necessarily have to get a kill on the flank, right? Even just if you just get like a clip and do like a quarter of their HP, then you can kind of leave, go do something else, and that Echo has to sit there and like regen the health, go get a health pack, use mobility to live, right? So like, say the Echo's just standing right here. I'm gonna blink up to you and do some damage. You're gonna fly away, okay? Okay, so the Echo just used fly. That means it's really hard for her to do anything on against my team. So I can leave because I'm probably not gonna kill her. Although in that situation I probably could have, but that is good enough for me because I can go kill her team while she's doing nothing or doing a lot less, right? So sometimes matchups are about forcing things without necessarily getting a kill, especially when it comes to mobility versus mobility characters. Obviously, as Tracer, you have to be kind of careful of Echo because she has the ability to hit the stickies, right? And if we just walk around a little bit, just like in circles or something. Wait, what? Wait, she makes sound? Are you?
Yeah, she does. Very little.
Okay. I get trolled by Arba who says that Echo doesn't make sound. She definitely does. What the fuck? What about if you're just like hovering? Yeah, see, there's all that sound. So just try to pay attention to the sound of Echo, especially if you feel like you have kind of bad awareness in this game. Sounds are your friend. You should definitely be utilizing sound as much as possible. Because even though I don't see the Echo, I hear her, and I should know that she's right above me right now. Because getting a full sticky on me is going to force recall, more often than not. So you really have to be careful of that. And obviously getting caught without recall and blinks, you're likely to get like inted into with flight. If I have nothing and she has just a little bit extra, she's going to be able to like push me and kill me, basically. And then of course, you got to be careful with Pulse Bomb against Echo. Do you have your ult?
No.
Okay, well, if I stuck the Echo and she has ult, she might just copy and completely nullify it. You're probably not going to be sticking an Echo anyway, but just something to keep in mind. Yeah, other than that, the matchup is it has a lot of dynamics, because like the Echo from long range, Echo is like a dive poke hybrid character. So Echo can play from long range and like get those left click tri-beam shots on you, and it can be kind of annoying to deal with. Just go for like a few shots. Yeah, see that, like even just hitting a little bit of them, obviously I was like standing still there, but like hitting like one or two can really mess up your ability to go for an engagement. So just be careful of the poke. A good Echo will be able to hit those. Now we're on the Genji. So the Genji versus Tracer matchup is actually heavily in favor of the Tracer, but only if you know how to navigate in space, specifically. Because the Genji is threatening up close, right? Like he can go for like a dash right-click combo, but the moment I hear a dash, just try to dash at me. Oh well, you didn't dash at me, but if I hear the dash, or if I anticipate the dash, right, I will be able to blink instantly without even really knowing where he is, and it's probably going to mess up his entire combo. Even if he hits me, the fact that I'm not next to him at the end of the dash means like try throwing some right clicks. It's a lot harder for you to get those kills on me, right? Now that being said, as Tracer, I'm not always going to be able to like kill the Genji, especially like in a situation like this where he has a lot of walls to like climb up. So like that's some of the biggest dynamics you have to worry about as Tracer, is that like it's hard to just kill a Genji when he has this high ground, because I can't chase him up there. On top of the deflect being like the last, like something that he can use as a last resort to just not die. Now that being said, same thing as before. If you're forcing deflect on a like neutral against Genji, as long as you don't like use recall, like that's a pretty good trade, because Genji is really heavily reliant on getting aggressive into the enemy team. So if he doesn't have deflect, he really cannot do half the plays he wants to do because of that alone. So like forcing deflect is good as Tracer. Now obviously, a small thing is, if you're really going to try and be extra about it and you're going to go for a pulse bomb, you have to be careful of the deflect, of course, because that's obviously dangerous. It's not like you're very low likelihood to kill yourself with it, because even if it sticks you because of recall, but like oftentimes better just to try to pulse a different target, which is a running theme with some of these characters, right? It's either that or force out the deflect beforehand, and then you just styled on him, right? Yeah, other than that, just really the biggest thing you should worry about is not getting one-shot comboed. Just go ahead and dash into me and right-click. And right-click as well, in my head. A good Genji will be able to, like, hit that combo on you if you just don't react. So, like, that's why it's important to blink in that situation as Tracer. Like, the moment that the Genji commits with the dash, you just need to get away from him and create distance with, like, even 2 blinks if you have to, just to ensure that you're not just gonna, like, randomly die. Other than that, the Tracer is really good at whittling the Genji down, especially at range. Like, okay, obviously don't stand in the but like the Genji in this situation, it's pretty tough for him to do anything. If like, look, I'm using verticality, I'm varying my movement, and then my damage is hit scan and his isn't, right? So oftentimes this Tracer, like this is gonna be like a really general tip against most characters, is that I think most times players don't realize how much damage Tracer is doing at a range, right? Like you'd think, oh, I'm Tracer. If I want to go for a kill, I should go for like the blink in 1 click, right? But in actuality, here I'm about to blow your mind real quick. In actuality, even just dealing damage like this, I'm playing outside of the enemy Genji's range, right? He can't really hit me very well, and I can dodge the shots by just looking at them. If he's gonna stand there and take it, slowly I'm gonna win, you know? So it forces some response out of him instead of just like, instead of just kind of like going for a close-up engage where like, maybe I blink into the Genji and then just do a one-shot combo on me. I blink up and then this happens to me, right? It's like, okay, so Genji's more lethal at close range than I am, right? It's just, so technically, in terms of like the brawl, poke, dive playstyles, right? Technically, Tracer, in order to outplay the Genji, is playing a lot more poke, right? Because I'm forcing out resources with range damage, right? Fundamentally, that's what I'm doing against the Genji. I'm like if I force deflect by shooting him from a range, then I get an advantage, and that's when you have to realize that the game is all about. It's not just brawl, poke, dive, but it's like microcosms and pockets of which characters take favorable like interactions at what range, right? So yeah, we can go ahead and switch to the next character. So in general, in terms of dive neutrals, Tracer has that that advantage. Just don't get one shot, lol. So Hanzo, obviously the biggest thing you have to worry about is the one shot. And also on top of that is the Sonic Arrow, so like just Sonic this corner. A really big thing you should know about Sonic Arrow is when it's on a corner, it has a bit of an effect that plays. I don't know why it's not showing. I mean, it played it when it was thrown out. Yeah, so you can see that. I thought it pulsated more too, to be honest. Maybe not.
If I remember.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing. But anyway, look, you should really be paying attention to that sound. Play it one more time just so you can really, like, hone it in. Okay, well, I was around the corner, so you couldn't hear it as much. But there's that sound, that sonar sound, right? If you pay attention to that sound, because if you're on the flank and you see, like, the little effect and you hear the sound, then now you know that they know that you're here. And if I try to turn this corner, look at that. The arrow was shot towards my head, and that was very much so a possibility that I died there. Because I didn't respect the fact that they have vision on me. So, like, instead, if I know they have vision on me, I can, like, bait the walkout, right? Bait the walkout, and then blink past, because once you bait the walkout, you kind of pretend that you don't know that they know, right? So to speak. So he's gonna go for the shot, but you're gonna blink past the doorway anyway. If he shoots the shot, like, as I take this corner, then he has to charge up an entire shot while I'm making the engage on him, if that makes sense. So as Tracer, you respect the one shot, but there's a lot of small opportunities that you get against Hanzo in order to get damage onto him. So like, just pull your bow back real quick. So the way that Hanzo's bow works, right, is he has to draw it back, and it takes time before he can one-shot you, or even get like a full-powered shot. So every time he releases the shot, go ahead and do that. He has to pull the bow back again, which means you have a certain amount of time to really lay in your shots if he misses, right? So like, try to just vaguely aim at me, and when you go for these shots, you see that? I'm getting so much time that I can line up my shots after the blink, or after the shot. And this is kind of I think this is a good part to say, like, okay, so Hanzo's a lot more pokier, right? So he's kind of like Ashe in this situation where, like, go ahead and get on this high ground. Typically Hanzo's will be playing on these high grounds and will be like raining down fire from above, right? So that's it. The same fundamentals apply where, like, the Hanzo is going to try and get cheeky damage off on me as I try to engage him, if he's aware. If he's not aware, if he's just shooting someone else, then I'm going to be able to blink in and just literally demolish him, right? So it comes down to thinking, does the opponent know I'm here? Have they stopped my flank in the past? If so, how do I outplay them trying to outplay me? Because, like, the tools the Hanzo has is the Sonic Arrow, and we already discussed, like, okay, they Sonic Arrow you, pretend you don't know, and then blink past and through anyway, right? Let's see, what else is there? The Storm Arrow, yeah. The Storm Arrow is the scariest thing, in my opinion, as Tracer when you're dueling Hanzo. And in fact, the moment he pulls the Storm Arrow out, it might even be a good idea just to blink away and leave. And then kind of like bide your time a couple seconds and then come back just to take that duel. Because just hit one headshot with Storm Arrow on me if you don't mind. That's a lot of damage, right? Even a body shot. I guess. Yeah, even a body shot is. I think it's. Well, actually, it will take more than 2 body shots to kill. Yeah, it's 75 per. But still, it's something a little scary. Now, you can survive a headshot. So even if he pulls the Storm Arrow out, like, you can still kind of take the duel, right? And not worry too much. But it is a one-shot if he headshot melees you with Storm Arrow. So just be careful of not being in melee distance. You can take the duel, even with Storm Arrow. Just after you get shot, like, once or twice, like, you're really taking a risk if you don't recall. So, like, if you want to finish the kill, and you want to be greedy, and you think you can, go ahead and hit, like, a Storm Arrow body shot on me. I'm going to hit the recall, and then I'm going to finish the kill after, once I get my HP back. So you can use recall to kind of tank a little bit, but and finish the kill. But you just have to be careful because, like, if you don't get that kill, then you're gonna be pretty useless for a couple seconds. Yeah, and then of course the Hanzo has mobility tools as well that you have to be careful of with the leap. So, like, say for the sake of argument, you have Sonic Arrow in this corner, and then you're gonna leap around the corner as I turn this corner. If I don't expect you to do that, you actually could just one-tap me there, right? Like, so that's just a thing that he can do. Now, you could go onto, I'm just kind of showing you what is possible, but really try to pay attention to what your opponent is doing, because that is what you need to outplay, not what Grandmaster Overwatch League Hanzo is doing, right? So just focus on the fundamentals of getting in, and notice that your job is to get in and get the kill. And if it doesn't work, then you should be thinking, okay, what happened there? What did I not account for? What did I die to? So on and so forth. But those are some of the general tools, some of the general practices. This skirmish is about to end, but we can go to the next character. This is fun. I like this. Junkrat. Oh god, what a funny character. Okay. So obviously, being in a close range to Junkrat is not a great idea, right? So, if a Junkrat is holding a room like this, for example, in here, your best bet, to be honest with you, is to just not engage, because what is he threatening from that room other than that room itself? He's only really threatening the room, right? So unless my team is actively taking like his attention, I don't have to really push him at all. But if you're out in the open, here, I'll restart. If the Junkrat is out in the open, then the same fundamentals that applied earlier against Genji kind of apply somewhat to the Junkrat as well, but even more obnoxious in terms of in favor of the Tracer. And I'll show you what I mean. So just kind of jump on the low ground real quick. So say for the sake of argument, I'm set up on high ground because Tracer should be defaulting high ground usually because that's her weakest mobility. You can always choose to drop off, right? But especially against a Junkrat, aiming upwards against a Tracer is literally impossible if I have any brain cell to dodge, right? So paying attention to the grenades and playing at a distance that you feel comfortable dodging the grenades is really important, because if you're able to dodge, then he will basically be able to do nothing against you. And then your job as the Tracer is to do the same thing I talked about earlier, which is shooting him from a distance, right? Because I can kill him here, but he literally can do nothing against me. And this is the sort of dynamic that I think people don't realize that makes Tracer so good. Again, so the only other thing that you'd have to worry about as Tracer is conk mine. So just throw it at me real quick. That's it. The moment you see him throw the mine, blink in any direction. Unless he's the god of Junkrat, where he's like pre-predicting your blink, like just throw it that way. Even then, it's hard, right? Like using your mobility just to dodge the one cooldown is like perfectly fine. And then if he gets like half HP, you can blink in, and then use your like remaining blink just to dodge the grenades as they come at you and get the kill. But every time that you can, like before you go for that quick like in your face engage, whittling them down to like half HP makes going for the full execute so much easier. So just keep that in mind. And then of course, obviously you have to be careful about trap. You can blink past it. Look at this. You can blink past it, but you don't want to blink next to it, right? There's a difference. And you just kind of have to know the difference there. But if you do blink past the trap, you're probably gonna catch that Junkrat off guard. But yeah, that's pretty basics on Junkrat. He's not a very complex character, to be honest. So just dodge, play at a range that you can that you won't get killed at, and at the very like worst case scenario, if he's playing inside of a room, just go kill his team. You don't have to take a duel in there, right? That's the benefit of having mobility, is you get to choose which engagement you take. So now we have Mei. Mei's an interesting one because she's got she's generally considered brawl because she's played in a lot of brawl compositions, but she has a decently strong long range threat. Just hit a body shot on me real quick. It does 75 damage, which means it does 150 on headshot. It used to one-shot Tracer. That matchup is a lot better now for Tracer now, where she does not get slapped out of the sky with a headshot, like one headshot. You can go and hit a headshot. Yeah, see, I at least live it, which means I can like blink to a health pack, not even have to recall. But that being said, if I'm playing like in her team's like area, it's really easy for her to hit shots on me. It's just like at this range, for example, right? See, that's just super dangerous to deal with. So as Tracer, this is kind of the case with a lot of Brawl characters. Bastion was kind of similar because he was also very brawly. Is you kind of have to wait. You have to play like. You have to play very like a rat, basically. Because if I peek this, if I do a shallow peek where I do like 2 damage, the Mei kind of has to react. Oh, I dropped on accident. The Mei kind of has to react, right? And line up the shot, because you hear the rhythm of the shot real quick. Like when she clicks the shot, it takes time for it to actually activate, which means unless she's pre-firing you, you can peek her, deal some damage to her, right? And then just run back. And then you blink back again, and then get some more damage on her, and then she uses ice block. You can actually just kind of get your resources back, and then do the same thing where you're just slowly whittling her down by like playing around her like that, right? So a lot of times Tracer comes down to like how do you win the fight slowly versus this character using your mobility, right? Especially against brawl characters, like they tend to be a lot more sluggish. They tend to have a certain pattern you can exploit. It comes down to just understanding what that is and what that rhythm and pattern is, so that you can not get swatted out of the sky like a fly. Headshot melee. Just be careful of that, because that can always happen when you go close. So as you might be able to tell by now, when it comes to Tracer, like she's really good. She's one of the strongest characters in the entire game, but it requires her to work significantly harder against most characters just to win. But when she does work harder, her matchup, it looks pretty dominant, right? Like when I was taking that duel versus the Mei and I was blinking in and out, as the Mei, it's pretty hard to do anything against that, especially if you don't have heals, right? Because the dive playstyle is not to like dive the backline per se. It's to take short bursts of engagements in order to whittle down resources, right? I think that's another thing that people don't realize about dive, is that it's not just 3, 2, 1, go backline, because at that point you're kind of just brawling their backline, so to speak. You have to get that map control and you have to get that resource advantage in order to do so. Okay, I think that's basically it with Mei, other than obviously pulse bomb versus ice block. Just wait for the ice block to be forced. It shouldn't be that hard, to be honest, to force ice block in general, or just to wait for it to get forced. But once her ice block is gone, she's actually a very good stick target because her hitbox is so big. Yeah, we can go to the next character. Pharah. Oh, this is a fun one. This is... okay, so... Pharah, even more so than Echo, I'd say, it's pretty difficult for Tracer to just, like, clip the Pharah, right? Because she has so many tools, especially verticality, that, like, if I'm not already on high ground, for example, as Tracer, then, like, it's really hard for me to take that duel. But, again, the same thing, if I whittle her down from a distance, then it's really hard for her to, like, hit me because of my ability to, like, dodge her rockets, for one, and then blink past the rockets and then keep whittling her down. But if she's playing above me and she has, like, cover and I can't really, like, do anything, then you kind of just, oftentimes as Tracer, like, the same thing as Echo, Tracer ends up being more opportunist and forces, like, some HP out of the Pharah, but more often than not, the Tracer's goal will be to go engage with the rest of her team. So, like, say the Pharah is standing up here, as long as I'm, like, keeping track on those rockets, I can, like, take this duel with the Ana here. Like, I hear the rockets, I know they're coming, I can take LOS, right? Like, see this? I'm taking LOS from the rockets while I take a duel with this imaginary Ana, my demons. But, yeah. Other than that, like, Pharah has the potential to, like, one-shot you, I think, with left-click conk. I believe that's the case. You can go and try it. And you can do that even faster than that was done. Also, left-click melee, I think, also kills. Although I don't know if that's the case anymore.
Try direct impact.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pharah has... If you are not aware of the Pharah, she will probably, on accident, force a recall on you. Because she'll just hit, like, a random rocket that you weren't expecting. And that'll suck. So as the Tracer, your goal is not necessarily always to kill the Pharah. It's just don't take stupid damage, because the rocket is slow. You can react, you can blink, right? You just have to know. And then you can, but especially with these new mobility cooldowns, the Pharah has the opportunity to live 9 times out of 10, especially if she has a pocket. Because the thing about pocket heals, by the way, is that the whittle down playstyle does not work as well unless you're whittling down the support, right? So if there's a mercy pocket on the Pharah, you cannot shoot the Pharah, you have to shoot the mercy, right? That's another aspect we haven't discussed as much, but we're just keeping it to the 1v1 for now. But with Pharah, it's very prominent because, you know, the Pharah mercy duo. Other than that, like, Tracer has the advantage because she can hit consistent damage while Pharah can't. If you want to win against her, you have to utilize that. Now, alright, here it is with Reaper. So, the Tracer can poke down Reaper pretty easily. because just range difference, range diff. Just try going for try going for some shots on me real quick. Wow, 5 damage per shot. I mean, I'm also doing 5 damage per shot, right? But if I walk slightly closer, now I'm doing like 50 to 100, right? You're still dealing some damage to me, but I'm doing more to you. And there's like a sweet spot against Reaper as Tracer that you can get that positive like interaction against him that you have to kind of utilize. Otherwise, if I get like too close, like right here, just one shot, now it's getting kind of hairy. Now that being said, he does have to land those shots, whereas mine is like kind of consistent. So like, if I can like utilize some partial cover, that helps with some of the shotgun, or just get the drop on him on the side, right? Because if the Reaper's like kind of doing something, and I get the drop on him where I can just get like a clip, I don't even have to kill him. Just getting that clip and leaving is enough to like ruin his day. And honestly, that oftentimes is the case as Tracer against most characters. But obviously, keep your distance, poke them down. If you're getting poked out as well, like you can just run back, get some heals. But try to utilize the rat behavior where you just don't take a fair like one-on-one square duel in his face, because that will not be good for you. Good timing. And then of course, there is something that I will mention because I think it matters with the ult. I think technically fair is the same, but for most of the ults up until this point, Tracer's mobility denies the potential for that ult to get like value at all, because they're like area of effect, or the mobility you just leave when the ult happens, right? And nothing happens. But as Reaper, you do have to be extra careful, because if I walk up to this Reaper and like get in his face, I accidentally use recall, or I'm like half HP and I don't realize it. If I walk up to his face and he uses like Reaper ult, I either have to be able to react and like blink away or recall, or make sure that I have recall at all, because like if you don't have recall, if he catches you with his ult, you just kind of die instantly. So you should be careful of that surprise factor. I've done it to people in the past, and it's really funny as Reaper when you do it. Yeah, just keep that in mind. Other than that, he's not a very complex character. Don't get too close. Don't stay too far, because then you don't do anything. Worst case, ignore him and go kill his team, because look, he's not doing anything from that range, right? So I can go kill his Ana even while he's shooting me, you know? Yeah, so we can go to the next character. Sojourn. Alright, finally a matchup that actually makes Tracer sweat. Where to begin? Okay, so the number one thing to keep in mind, first of all, is like two things. One, Sojourn has mobility that honestly rivals Tracer's significantly, especially due to dynamics, which basically in this situation means that like Sojourn's slide has both range, like horizontal and vertical, whereas Tracer just kind of has horizontal, aside from like very niche specific situations where there's like blinks like this, right? But this, honestly, let's stand close to like side by side and just slide in that direction for me. So that's the full direction, like distance of the slide, which is basically 2 blinks for me, which is actually a lot to deal with. Like, if I'm already blinking in, like, if I already have to use my blinks to, like, get on top of you, and then you slide, right? Then I only have one more slide, or one more blink, before, like, a couple seconds I have to wait for my third one, right? Where we're taking this duel, and we're kind of, like, she's able to space me, especially if she gets high ground. Because if I'm taking this duel, and then she takes the high ground, like, well, I guess I just don't do anything now, you know? So on top of that, the second thing you really need to worry about as Tracer is the railgun. So go ahead and build up rail real quick. I'm going to stand next to this health pack. A little more. Just build your rail. Keep building.
It's built.
Oh, okay. So, I don't know why it didn't... Okay, it's more obvious from range. That's crazy. I actually didn't know that. the effect is more obvious from range. That's crazy. Anyway, you see this from distance, how she has railgun. It's big and it glows blue, and it's scary looking for a reason. Because, just headshot me. It's scary for a reason, you know? And that is basically at any range, it will one-shot you with a headshot. So, as Tracer, like, you really, really, really have to respect that rail. Because she has the mobility plus the one-shot on you, where you can't just run her down, which is not the case for like a lot of these other characters like Ashe and Hanzo, right? Where their mobility, they have some, but it's very limited, right? Oh, that's another thing about Ashe I forgot to mention is her limited mobility. Is Arba here? I heard the slight grunt, but I didn't hear you join. So yeah, you always be wary of mobility because as Tracer, like, if you don't understand how the enemy character moves, then they're gonna be escaping away from you. So as the Sojourn, especially, like, her biggest advantage on top of the distance is it really is just the height, because like I'm gonna be taking this duel, try to take this high ground. Just imagine we're taking a duel. Oh, now I'm sad. I cannot do anything. And if you want, you can keep like jiggle peeking and even shooting me, right? So anytime that a character has verticality against Tracer, that's like one of the biggest things that you should be utilizing in order to deal with her, especially if she's on the ground actively. So Ashe is, as another example, we talked about like how the Tracer wants to like run her down, but if the Ashe can like drop high ground once the Tracer's top, and then the Tracer drops, and then the Ashe uses Coach Gun to get back on top. Well, the Tracer does have the option to like, hold on, let me show you this real quick. The Tracer does have the option, like, if you want to chase someone off a high ground, you can. So like, say the Ashe drops, right? You go and chase, but then she Coach Guns back top. You can use recall to get the high ground again, so that you can maintain like that mobility and keep track basically. So say I'm taking this duel, you're gonna drop, I'm gonna chase, you're gonna coach back up, and then I recall. Now I'm back on the high ground. It is risky. I did use recall, but if you're half HP at this point, I'm probably gonna be able to kill you. So yeah, we can go ahead and switch characters. So Sojourn is a really strong character just in general. So that's why it's gonna be difficult for Tracer to just full on stomp. Now that being said, if you as Tracer like catch anyone without mobility cooldowns, that means you can run them down even more because they have no ability to escape you. So Soldier, so a lot of people say, oh, but I like playing Soldier compared to Sojourn, right? Because you know he's got the heal station, he's got the rocket, he's got the legs, he's got it all. He even aims for me. But the reason he's not in a pro sense better than Sojourn is, you know, mostly because of that one-shot potential with the railgun, because of the range, right? But also, his matchup into divers is significantly worse because his mobility is significantly worse. Now, that being said, the Soldier does have some options against divers, but it's usually, they're better options against worse players. I'll put it that way. So, like, I'm going to take a duel with you, and you're going to use heal station, right? Oh, guess what? He uses heal station, I just leave. The moment I hear the heal station go down, I'm gone. I hear that, I can hear it go away. The cooldown is like 13 seconds. It's really long. So now that it's gone, now I take the duel. Now that being said, he does have more, right? You can't get too close to his face because of rocket. Just shoot a rocket at me. If that hits you, it used to one-shot with melee. It doesn't anymore. But if he's going to be shooting you the whole time too. So you do have to like be wary of the rocket a little bit. But again, if you play like a rat and you have all your blinks, it's really hard for him to hit the rocket on you. And look at this too. The Soldier likes to hit the rocket to splash, right? Right? See that? But if I'm doing something like this, where I'm jumping over the ledge a little bit, oh shit, I messed up there. Then try to shoot a rocket at me while I jump across. Okay, well I messed up, but you get the idea. You get the concept, right? Just being in the air like this, you can even use your blinks to like prolong how much you stay off the ledge here. Like I can do like this, and like that, and it's impossible to hit a rocket on me, unless it's a direct, right? So that splash damage is so much harder for him to hit if I do stuff like that. But also, like, the soldier wants to be shooting the enemy team, right? So again, if you get the drop at all, like, just hitting clips into him, like, you're gonna be able to burst him down if you get the drop. And on top of that, because he doesn't have mobility, it's significantly easier to line up a pulse bomb when you get close. So yeah, soldier has some tools, but the tracer has the ability to use mobility to kind of outplay the cooldown duration, right? Now, because the tracer, like, say, just hit a rocket on me, for example, right? So, like, we're taking a duel. Say he hits the rocket on me, and I just go blink to this health pack. He's probably going to use the heal station, right? Sometimes I can even kill him through the heal station, by the way, keep in mind. But also, like, if I know where the health packs are and I'm taking duels close to them, like, hit another rocket, I guess. Oh, there's a mini in here. I'm fine. Let me take this duel. So, yeah, there's so many things that you can do as Tracer. Compared to the Sojourn, because she also has that mobility, like and during this entire duel, the Soldier's kind of stuck here, right? He can move around a little bit. There's some leeway, but it's nowhere near the same because I can run away and he can't. Whereas if I get low, I use my recall in the duel, and I like kind of have to leave. The Sojourn is gonna she's gonna slide into me and rail my headshot me with a rail, right? Yeah, so something to think about. Character dynamics. We can switch to the next one. Sombra. Okay, so Sombra is a very interesting character because I think the dynamics of like a high level Sombra player is gonna be a lot different from what you see, just in terms of taking duels in general. But I will tell you a little bit on how to punish a bad Sombra, especially. So Sombra is also a flank character, in general, right? It's generally how you want to play her. You're not necessarily going to run her down, right? It's different from these other poke characters, right? Because if I don't know where she is already, I don't know where to like go, right? Now that being said, you can kind of assume that she might be on flanks, right? And there's something called spy checking, like this is TF2, where characters, especially with pellets like Tracer, it's really good for her to like clear an entire area just by doing this, right? By flicking your mouse around, because see that? The Sombra literally cannot walk through this entire area. It's literally impossible for her to walk through this because of this, right? So utilizing that on flanks just to check for Sombras randomly, or also if you see a hacked health pack and it's fresh, we can go ahead and show like in here. Oh yeah, that one's too. If you look at the health pack, you can see the duration, right? So you'll know basically how long ago it was since she was here. So you will know, like, is she here? Can she take this duel, right? So on and so forth. And that can help you, like, with saying, oh, this is hacked recently. Let me try and look for her. Oh, I found her. But that being said, you don't necessarily want to take the duel on the health pack either, because if she's just standing here, right? And I'm just taking this duel with the Sombra, right? She's gonna have this health pack, which basically makes it impossible if she uses it correctly. Now, the health pack is gonna respawn real quick, so I'm just gonna show you something. Like, sometimes worse players will, when they're playing on a health pack, notice how my damage is like, it's damage over time, like it's not just a burst. If you're standing on the health pack, then it will take the health pack and only heal you like 20. But that's a mega health pack. You can wait until I'm all the way here before you get the health pack again, and then I have to do all your HP again, and then by that time it's probably back again. So a good Sombra, when she's properly utilizing her health packs, is actually going to give you a hard time. So it's probably not the best case scenario for you to like take a duel with her unless you know that she's like missing cooldowns and you have some help. Other than that, the Sombra really likes to go in for engagements. So like, if you notice her like on your backline on the high ground or something, then oftentimes your team is probably gonna force her out, right? So as the Tracer, let's just say I'm sitting top right, and let's say that you like get an engagement on high ground, right? The moment I see translocator, number one, first shoot the Sombra out of translocator so she doesn't get the invis, the stealth, right? And then second, once that happens, like just throw a locator like in place real quick. So I'm gonna stop that, and then I'm gonna run her down, because even if you throw virus at me, I can burst you down a lot harder, and I can recall through it and chase you down. So Tracer is again one of those opportunist characters that says the Sombra went for a play, she tried to get some value, but she got slightly forced out. Now it's my job as Tracer to like really punish that play and prevent her from going for something more. Yeah, so that really prevents her from just doing whatever she wants. Now, if I was just going to take this duel now, it's still good for me to, more or less, but if I get my recall forced and then she just translocates away to safety, it's not a good trade anymore, right? I'm going to recall and you're going to like locate, and we'll just say you're safe there. Yeah, you see that? So like now I'm trading not favorably here. So you just have to pick and choose what you do and be careful. Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics to Sombra. I wouldn't worry too much about it because most people are not going to play Sombra well at all, especially at low ranks. So we can go to the next character. Rude. Okay, Symmetra. So number one, the most obvious thing, her beam, or at least the weakest part of her kit towards Tracer, that beam. Very easy for me to play outside that range, which forces her to use right clicks if she wants to get damage on me. But just take a listen real quick. You hear that charge up animation? There's a certain timing to it where she's forced to shoot at a certain point. So like if you hear it charged up, right? Just try to fire it at me. I'm literally basically impossible to hit without prediction because of these blinks. Because it's a projectile that she has to kind of aim at me, right? So you want to time it right before she kind of sends it out so that she has no time to actually aim the projectile when you're in her face. So go for this again. Go for the right clicks again. Oops, I blinked in your face. That's perfectly enough time to get the kill if you properly time it, right? And you have enough blinks. Now there's the two other parts of her kit that do provide some dynamics for the sim, which is her teleport and her turret, which if I try to go for the same engagement on the Symmetra with the turrets up, suddenly it's not as good of a time, right? Now this is going to be a thing. Now, so a lot of players think that like turret characters just flat out counter like flankers, and yes, they can give flankers a hard time, but like guess what? I have a bunch of mobility. Look, I see that the turret's here. Look, I'm not doing much damage to it, but I can break it. And I can break this. And I can break this. And sure, it takes some time, but I can use my cover to LOS the actual player, right? And I can wait to get my blinks back. They're all back. Now I take this duel again. So you just have to have a little bit of patience to kind of clear the area a little bit. Or at the very least, on an even higher level, if say like just put all the turrets there, for example. Yeah, so say if the Symmetra it just doesn't think about it and just puts all the turrets in one place and you know where they are, well look, there's a range to them, right? I can just kind of take this duel anyway. Sometimes, right? Yeah. And then so a good Symmetra player, the moment she sees the Tracer is probably gonna be like, okay, this is probably not a good situation for me. Let me use teleport and like get high ground. And then it's like, oh well, I mean, okay. And as the Tracer player, it's actually okay that you force teleport. You just have to be careful, like running down a sim for no reason and kind of getting stuck. Oftentimes, if you just kind of play in the space that sim would teleport into, like just do that teleport again and just kind of teleport in. So we'll say that the sim is teleporting in. It is actually. So there's a wind-up animation, first and foremost, if you noticed, of the teleporter going up. That's already enough time for you. You just stand on the low ground so I can, like, do the full combo and teleport up. So if I know the teleport's coming, you pre-shoot it a little bit, teleport through, it's broken. Now the sim is stuck. She teleported through thinking she'd be safe, but you broke it by the moment she walked through the teleport, so now she's fully committed. and now you can go for a kill. And even if the Symmetra does a cheeky strat where she teleports all the sim turrets through, you can go and do that combo on the low ground. Just put all the turrets on the ground in one place. If you see her doing that, even if she goes for this, melee, and you break all the turrets. It's really that simple. So yeah, so Tracer interaction into Sim is pretty strong for the Tracer. Just do not get caught off guard with the projectile. That's a very common theme across all the characters in this game. Don't get caught off guard with a projectile. So now for Torb. Now in terms of turrets and being annoying to flankers, Torb turret is definitely more annoying than Sim turrets into Tracer. But it is still, you can still deal with it. And there's still some of those fundamentals. So, alright, turret is right next to the Torbjorn. Look at this. If you're close enough, you can jiggle peek the turret and it will not lock onto you immediately, and you can trade with it, right? Over and over. Very slowly, granted, but you can kill it. So that's a really important thing to do if you can. Now that being said, a better Torb will like put the turret over there. And then the Torb turret's over here, right? And you're like, oh dear god, I want to go for the engagement here, but there's an entire turret here. Now me as the Tracer player, if I want to go kill this turret, I have to go do some shit like this. And I take like 50 damage anyway. I used a couple blinks, right? And I can stabilize, right? Now I have all my cooldowns back. And now I can go for an engage. Although Torb himself obviously has the overload. It's more like it slows you down, and if you can't complete your objective in the time that gets slowed down, you're gonna lose. But certain dive characters do poke out turret better than Tracer, so sometimes it is worth to like ask your teammate, like, hey, Anna, can you poke this turret for me? Or like whoever has range on your team, right? Before you go. And then once the turret is down, you should definitely be taking that opportunity to do some funny business in the backline. And like, again, same thing with these other big cooldowns. If you force the overload on the Torb, you can just wait. You like maybe even use recall if you have to, and then go back and try and get the kill. So yeah, Torb can be very annoying, especially for newer players playing Tracer, because a lot of players will just like see, oh my god, this Tracer's annoying, I'm gonna go Torbjorn, and they'll force you to use your brain a little bit. And there is one more thing. I mentioned it with the sim turrets as well. If you notice that the turret is one place and the Torb is another, like say the Torb's just playing right here. Actually, wait. You just walk up a little bit. If I can LOS the turret, I can still take the duel. You know, like look, I can play here. I can play in here. I can't peek here, but if I can LOS the turret enough that I can take at least an okay duel, right? And even if the Torb walks into the turret when he's like just kind of walk into the turret, even if you walk into the turret, I don't mind taking some damage just to finish the kill and then recall. The turret is annoying, but it's not going to kill you immediately. So using all those dynamics together really help you manage the overpoweredness of the Torb turret versus flankers. Alright, we can go to the next one. How many do we have left? Oh, Tracer versus Tracer? Oh, now we're cooking.
3 more, including Tracer.
Okay, so we're almost done. That's good. Okay, so Tracer versus Tracer is called Peak Overwatch. No, it's anytime that, especially in Overwatch when there's a mirror, cooldown management is really important because there's quote unquote no dynamics, right? With the pure matchup. It's purely whoever uses their cooldowns more effectively and just plays the fundamentals of the game. Like, say if the Tracer, say you're just walking out of spawn, right? You're just like walking to point, and I'm like sitting up here. You just don't know I'm here. It's like, okay, I just forced all your HP and probably a recall because you didn't know I was there, right? So against most players, you will be able to do stuff like that. And you should be utilizing like getting the drop on people as much as possible, especially as Tracer, where you can be in places they don't expect you to be, because that's the whole point of mobility. And that's oftentimes how you're going to get advantages against in lower levels, like against other tracers. Now that being said, there's a lot of small tools you can use when taking a duel. Like, say we're taking a duel like this. We both know we're here. Just shoot me a little bit. Look at this. I'm camping this health pack better than you are. So even though we're taking an even duel, I'm closer to this health pack. And look, now Doom has done the same and gone to the mega health pack, right? But guess what? We're still here. We're still fighting. Secret third health pack no one knew about. And now I have the advantage. And then Tracer just referenced the meme when I killed the Tracer, so that's awesome. So yeah, so in the Tracer matchup as well, if I force recall with my advantage state, happy days. We did our job. I got my one. Basically, you made the Tracer useless for the next 13 seconds, where she can't take space, she can't like go for an engagement, and you still have yours, which means like you force the Tracer recall, you have the option to kill her if you want. But guess what? I'd rather like go take a duel with their Ana now that their Tracer's gone, because if the enemy Tracer is like, in the inverse is true too, where if the enemy Tracer tries to go in your backline, but she doesn't like force your recall or your positioning, then that's when I kind of come in and whittle you down basically for free. Because guess what? You're not looking at me. You're not respecting the Tracer 1v1. So, yeah, never take an even fight in this game. Always have some dirty trick that you know will give you some sort of advantage. Because if you start looking for them, there is basically always an opening left by your opponent. You just have to look for them, right? And that's best exemplified in pure 1v1 matchups. As for some small mechanical things, real quick, as Tracer, in the 1v1, this is something I've started doing recently, where blinking into your opponent and getting the melee and blinking back, getting even like half that HP is so good. And now that's a little higher level, but if you're doing that against your opponents, you're gonna dominate them. Like because do that to me real quick, just so we can see what that looks like. Oh, yes, he missed the punch, but it's okay. Just go for it again.
Well.
Go try to blink after. Yep. See that? There's literally so little time to react when you do that, especially if you like blink to my side, right? And then yeah. Another thing for the matchup, this is always good as Tracer, is when you're blinking, you want to blink to cover, right? Because look, now I get to get my blinks back, and their resources are more limited, right? But because I am at cover, then I can choose when I want to go aggressive. But then maybe they use recall and like, okay, I can't get the kill immediately, but guess what? I'm behind this cover. I'm not taking damage. I have all my blinks back now, and I can keep taking this fight. Crazy. Yeah. Okay, we can go to the next one, or we'll wrap it up soon. We're at an hour now. What do you say?
So cosplaying as a bad Tracer, guys.
All right. Venture is a funny one. So with a lot of the fundamentals we've already talked about, it's all about abusing the dynamics and the range, right? So like, Venture is an extremely short-range character with only some amount of range with the left click that is like palpable, right? Now, as the Tracer, like the same thing the weapon is a splash weapon, so the same thing I talked about before, where if you're in the air, really impossible to get those hits off, right? So look at this. I'm using this cover above the Venture, and that's nearly impossible to hit, right? You see that? Really hard. So utilizing that height difference, that cover, making sure you don't get splashed on the ground, like to the side, because that is what's gonna really mess you up. And then of course, against Venture, you never want to get in kissing distance, because just do it. That actually doesn't kill. Okay, well, you probably with the melee it will. Yeah, so be careful of that. You can react with recall, but there's really no point to get it forced, because it's just pretty free for the Venture to do. Another thing with Venture is Venture really likes to go for engages, right? So obviously when they're in the ground, you can't kill them or target them, but knowing where they're, like, being prepared for where they end up. Oh, I went for the low percentage pulse. I don't know how to do that yet, but you can do that technically. But just being there to, like, if their adventure's going on your team, you don't have to, like, be in their face, but, like, just be close enough that, like, if the adventure's trying to do something to your team, you're just poking them down and, like, giving your team the slight edge to kill them, right? Because even though you can't get close, just forcing their HP is going to do a lot, right? And now the venture's forced out, and I can go do other stuff on the flank, right? So pretty simple ventures. Now that being said, in close range and, like, certain geometry where you can't use high ground, the splash is really annoying against Tracer. But yeah, just get good. We can go next one. Widowmaker. She is the quintessential poke versus dive here in this situation. Like, it's really the same thing we talked about before, where obviously you don't want to stand in her LOS, because if she has any side of you and she's, like, looking at you, you just have a percentage chance to roll the dice and die. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Now, the Widow, you're going to be able to, like, she has certain LOS that she can see when she's standing somewhere, right? So, like, I can blink here, right? I can get my blink back, I can blink here. And then the moment I'm here, now I can blink behind, and that shot is significantly harder for the Widow to hit. So it's all about utilizing cover, utilizing your blinks, and once you get to cover, waiting for your blinks to come back, and then going for your engage. Oh, nice shot. But, you know, even if they hit the body shot, like, you have the recall, you have everything. So long as you don't get poked out and forced out on your engagement, right? You do have to worry about Venom Mine. Here, just come in here real quick. I'll show you some like, cheap tricks that can happen. Just throw Venom Mine, like, on this door. So, like, technically I can see it if I look for this blink, but that's really hard to see if you're not, like, kind of insane and schizophrenic. But if you walk through this, look at that, it activates. And now this duel is significantly not, like, the Widow is not going to instantly win, but it's a much more even playing ground because it's going to do 75 damage to you. So she can, like, SMG you, she can body shot, so on and so forth. And then on top of all that, if the Widow knows you're coming, she's like, say she's like scoped down this sight line, right? Even if you manage to, like, do something like this, the moment you're in the face of the Widow, you have to be careful of something like just hook into the air. She might have the potential to, like, hook in the air, to hook to safety, to hook somewhere else, right? You're not always going to be able to kill her if she knows where you're coming from. She might just run away, but that's still okay because you forced her positioning, right? And, you know, mileage will vary depending on the player that you're playing against. Most of you can ego 90% of the Widowmakers you play against and just run them down. But if the Widowmaker forces you to respect them, just learn the limits that player is enforcing. Okay, I can't blink directly in their face. I can blink behind them and kill them, but just not directly in their face. So just, yeah, try to be practical and realistic with what you can get away with. Is that it?
That's all the DPS.
Alright. An hour and 13 minutes. I think that was pretty useful. I think a lot of those fundamentals we talked about as Tracer are going to apply in general against other characters as well. It's all about framing, right? As Tracer, she has the best advantage, like, on a theoretical basis, which is why I think it's interesting to talk about it from her perspective. But it requires a lot of that knowledge and understanding. If any of you guys who watched this video, all two of you who watched this, maybe even 1.5, have any questions about any of these matchups, obviously they go deeper than even what I've said here, because there's a lot of skill expression within these abilities and how to make the situation change. And on top of that, like, we talked about pure 1v1 matchups. A good example is, like, if the Pharah has a Mercy, situation changes a little bit, right? So that's always going to take some getting used to and understanding, like, how it works, but that is the general principle and, like, how you're going to win these duels. And if you're applying these principles, you don't even need good aim. just fundamentally taking a good engagement is going to, you're going to rank up a lot based on that alone. So it's not always aim. Sometimes, a lot of times it's your brain. Figure it out. Other than that, GG. I'm going to have to upload this. Any other questions from the peanut gallery or things that would like to be added?
Not particularly. If anything, I can just like comment.
Okay. Well, I'll end the recording here then. I think that was pretty productive. Stop recording.